Hi, my name is Nicole Weinberger. I'm a sales manager at MobileFuse. We are an in-app, mobile, and CTV network reaching consumers in their most receptive moments. And I'm joined today by Alison Ehrmann. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Alison Ehrmann. I am currently the Chief Marketing Officer of Nom Nom. We are a division of Mars, and we are a premium dog food company, and we sell primarily direct to consumer through subscription boxes.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me today, Alison. I'm going to ask you a few really straightforward questions, some are more fun, some about the industry. But I'll start off with a really broad question. Given that you're a woman in leadership, how do you define leadership, and what's your leadership style? I always like to ask that to start off.
It's one of those things, it's like, you know it, but how do you talk about it? But I think leadership really comes down to, it's how you motivate, inspire, a team of people for a common cause. It's like, you're a group of people, but you have to work together to achieve a goal. Right. And I think it's a leader's job. First, it starts with hiring, and just hiring great people, knowing who you're hiring for, what fits in terms of the skill set you need for the company, as well as someone who's going to fit in culturally, who just doesn't fit in, but adds it and evolves it and changes it, and is it's additive. But then I think as a style, it's really about hiring those great people and letting them do their job and getting out of the way in some cases, or it's advocating for resources or removing obstacles or making a decision, help them making a decision, as opposed to giving orders to what should happen. But it's really then it's a lot of listening as well, because the people on your team are experts in what they do, and it's my job to listen to their advice, and then how do you roll it all up together? Right.
And I love that. I love that you started off by saying hiring the right people, because early in my career, I had a CEO who told me, you can teach skill, but you can't teach character.
No.
And it's something that's innate and ingrained in someone. So you really have to focus on hiring the right people on your team.
And the thing is, very similarly, I always say, I can't teach people to care. Right. And so I'm looking for people who really care about their jobs, the output results. I can't teach that. But I think I lost my train of thought, but but teaching people to care and that motivation, because they have to be motivated intrinsically from the inside.
You can't train that, for sure.
You really can't. but there's a lot of things I can teach them a little bit about Excel.
Sure.
But lately I feel like I'm being taught. But that's the other thing. It's I think I like to run a pretty flat organization, and where we all are contributing. It's creating also space for people to speak up and being able to make sure that there's safety to say, I am wrong, I do not know, a mistake was made, and then how you react to it is really important as a leader.
So true.
Especially in marketing, where so much of what we do are failures, and it's just how do you learn from them, and you want to make sure that little things don't turn into big things, and so you have to have your teams back, and you celebrate the wins collectively, but I feel a lot of times I take responsibility for the failures.
Yeah, and I feel like in a lot of the panels today, we spoke a lot about testing and learning, and from a very technical approach, right? And all of the campaigns, all the work we do. But it also comes down to the people, like you said, taking accountability for your actions and testing out new things, but learning from your mistakes. So that can be applied, now that I'm thinking about it, to leadership too. You got to test out new things, and you got to learn from the mistakes you make. So I love that.
Right, and as a leader, it's also, I make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
And you have to, there's some times where I've had to say, hey, sorry, I was kind of like an asshole yesterday, I was in a bad mood and it was not right, or my behavior wasn't right. Yeah. And I think, recognizing that everyone, including myself, my work does not define who I am. Yeah. It really is, I love what I do, but it enables all the other things in my life, and everyone on the team is that way too. And if you respect everyone's personal boundaries and let them just do good work in the style that works for them, then you'll have a really strong team.
I love that. I feel like we could talk about that for hours, but I'll move on. I digress. Moving on to a little bit of the nitty-gritty in the weeds kind of question. How do you stand out among the competitors in your space? Are you doing anything new or exciting, or how do you approach that?
I mean, I think in general, brands constantly have to make all of those decisions with the consumer in mind and constantly be talking to them about what they care about and what is different. Because you might have talked to them last year, but things are different this year. The economy is different. Their life has changed. So many things. And you have to constantly keep a pulse on what the consumer wants and what they need. So I think it starts by really having unique value propositions. And internally, you cannot believe your own hype. There are too many times we're like, oh, but we're this and we're that. And everyone believes, organizations have a tendency to drink their own Kool-Aid. Yeah. And you constantly have to be poking holes at it and making sure it's still true, and then talking to your customers about really what they want. And, there's very few products out there that are truly differentiated. And so then, you have these products and, you have features or, benefits, but it might be a differentiator today, but by tomorrow, everyone else will have it, because there's very few things that you can protect and that are proprietary. And so then I think you have to constantly be innovating and changing through consumer insights. Yeah. And then I think it's creating a brand that really resonates emotionally, because you cannot, I think, depend on just the functions. It has to, how do you create that irrational loyalty to your business so that they feel a part of it, they feel connected, and they wouldn't consider moving when a new entrance comes in the space, because there's always going to be new entrants.
So true. And I think that's especially important when reaching your younger audiences. Yes. There was a panel yesterday about reaching Gen Z, and the panelists spoke about how important it is to emotionally connect from a brand perspective, because these younger audiences really want that authentic connection, and they want that, even that in real life experience with the brand. So how do you connect with those people? So I think that's really, really important, especially when you want to reach these younger audiences that are emerging and are going to be the future of a lot of your consumer base.
Absolutely. I think, I'm Gen X. I'm like, what am I? I'm Gen X. You see, I have the Gen X brain. I have the perimenopausal brain fog thing going on.
Me too, for different reasons.
But we didn't really think about what a company stands for and what their mission is, or we never dug deeper, into where it came from, products came from. And I think, going back to what I was saying before, understanding your consumer, if you're targeting a younger audience, those things are paramount, and they really care about that. So how do you not only, it can't just be a marketing ploy either. It has to be part of the the DNA of the company and your culture as well. And all the employees need to buy into it and live and breathe it.
Yeah, I love that. So another hot topic in the industry right now, as I'm sure you know, is sustainability. Yeah. And how do brands stay relevant in that conversation? So what is your brand doing to stay top of mind when it comes to climate change and sustainability, especially from a pet care brand? And then how are you approaching that from even a larger marketing perspective?
Yeah, I think that, we are a division of Mars, and Mars just, it's really front and center. They're really, concerned about that. And so they are really making concerted efforts to do the best they can in that area. But I think, even when, we do a lot of direct to consumer, so it comes down to every decision, what are the packaging choices that we are making? And, so there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, a lot of decisions, but, our food has to stay frozen, so there's a certain amount of packaging that is necessary. True. But then we can make better choices. And it's always, I think, for most companies, it's making better choices. But you asked about sustainability, and we've heard a lot about it and everywhere. But now it's the holiday season, and I did a lot of Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales. My Christmas shopping is done. Yay! Woohoo! Yes, but there's this real tension between wanting sustainability and then the convenience of online shopping.
It's so true.
And I think about the amount of boxes, even though that's recyclable materials or but all the things that went into it, right? The amount of boxes, collapsed, and the packaging and the labor, all of it. And so I don't have a good answer, but I think that there's a really interesting tension going on right now where we all believe that we really want to do what's right for the planet, but we also want what's easy.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
I don't have a good answer for that.
Well, I think it's an ongoing conversation too. I'm not sure if anyone has like the best answer out there in the industry because it's changing every day. And I think it's such an important topic that the advertising industry is just going to keep on tackling. So I think it's going to continue to evolve.
I think that we'll probably see an emergence of companies that are rooted in, like, their value prop is sustainability, and then what they're delivering is kind of secondary. But you're willing to pay a little bit of a premium because their brand is just It's like a better sustainable version of something you're already using. So I think we're going to see some of these replacements, and people will pay a premium for that. I think it's easier for them to start that way versus then an existing business saying, hey, prices are going up 15% because we are investing in sustainability.
Right. Now you're making me think of all the Amazon boxes that were at my doorstep.
And it's not just Amazon. It was everything.
Yeah, everything.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll end on another fun question. What brands out there inspire you? What excites you? Have you seen anything really cool that just made you go wow in the industry?
There's a couple things. Like, one thing that I've been just curious about, just a little fascinated, was the what is it? The Stanley tumblers.
You
know what I'm talking about?
I have one.
You have one, right?
But I have the mom cup.
But 10 years ago, would that have ever been on your radar?
True.
And it's a brand that's I think it's 80, 100 years old or whatever, and you kind of knew about it because, as you know, I hate to do gender stereotypes, but it was really a male-dominated business where it was a lot of the camping and fishing and hunting and that kind of, from what I understand, because I wasn't the target audience, especially living in New York City. I don't do a lot of that stuff. But the fact that it has turned into an essential item in a mom toolkit now is fascinating. Yeah. And, just doing a little bit of research, and it's just a mom blog, somehow got it. And that authentic voice that they could say to their audience, hey, this is an awesome cup. Keeps things hot, keeps things cold. Everyone needs it. And Stanley, I think, did a really smart thing, is that they leaned into it instead of just being those people, we're selling a few more, and introducing different colorways and starting affiliates. And now I see it any influencer I follow, there's always when they show the outfit and the pants or whatever, there's
just a cup.
And now you can have it in a lot of colors. It's not just black or whatever or gray. And by introducing new colors, people that are probably buying at a much greater frequency than they would have ever before.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's remarkable because now people are buying 3 or 4 of them, and I think to myself, how many 40-ounce tumblers do you need?
But it's like a chapstick, one for the car, one for the house.
But the brand really did achieve that frequency, because now people are buying 3, 4, 5, one for their aunt, one for their grandmother, one for their
color's really cute, and I like this one. And
I never thought about that from a brand perspective, but that's so true.
Yeah. And the other one, and I was thinking about this today because. Again, going back to my hormones are changing and I'm perimenopausal. It's I'm getting this zit on my nose. And I don't know if everyone can see it, but I was thinking about hero patches. And and I was introduced to them early on, or the concept of the patches early on, because I was going to my high school reunion and I posted something on Facebook can't wait to see, me and my zit will see you there tonight. Can't wait to see everyone, because I had some. And a friend I went to high school with, she'd just come back from South Korea, and she's here, use this. I'm what is this thing? And put it on, and I'm this is genius. And so I followed Hero, and they did something really interesting. Is again, it's not that they invented a new drug and have a patent on it. Yeah, they changed the distribution, and they also changed it from being in the first aid those kind of treatments into the cosmetics. Sure. And then the patches are great, because now on Zooms and stuff, you can be wearing patches all day.
Well, they have the teeth whitening strips that can dissolve now. You can wear them on Zoom calls. Yes. People won't even know you're achieving beauty or skincare when you're on your
all that stuff. It's the filters and all of it.
I know.
So I was thinking about that one today, and actually I brought up perimenopausal. I'm also just very interested in all these businesses that are changing the stigma around women's health. talking about
near and dear to my heart right now.
periods,
Yep.
talking about, you have like things who have, period parents, so they're not afraid to talk about blood, or
Yes.
even some of the razor companies that show women with hair.
Yes, yes.
There's so many. There's like, a company called Bodily that is doing, about, postnatal products,
Yes.
and like what do
Very
you need,
in tune
and
with that.
talking about all this stuff. And even like, with menopause, like for me, it's like around the corner, and
Yes.
being able to talk about that. And I think about even earlier, businesses like Kindbody talking about women's
Right.
fertility.
Right.
And
Right.
these are conversations that like should be be much more open, and
Right.
shouldn't be secretive amongst your friends. And there needs to be up and front and center for women's health to really embrace and take care of it.
Right, and that's actually a good segue. I wasn't going to ask this question, but it does bring up a good topic about inclusivity and diversity, because yes, you're talking about women's health and those stages of women's life, but you can even expand it into other things in culture and society right now. And I think it's very important for brands to be inclusive and talk about and normalize these conversations.
Totally,
That's
right?
like, and normalize these conversations, because there are people out there who have extenuating circumstances in certain areas, and like who are struggling in different areas with their mental health or whatever it may be. And I think it's very important that brands normalize these conversations and understand that their consumers are a whole well-rounded individual that does go through these like life stages.
Yes.
So I think that I'm happy you brought that up because that's something that's near and dear to my heart too.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that it's up to us as leaders and advocating for our companies to also normalize this. Like I'm a single mom by choice. I did fertility treatments on my own and had a son on my own in my 40s, and it's part of my story. It's part of who I am. And as a result, I think, I've had team members be like, hey, I got to take tomorrow off because of IVF.
Yeah.
Or I need to go to these doctor's appointments. I'm like, yes, you do that. And that should
Totally.
be okay too.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
It should be the same thing as you're going for a flu shot or whatever
100%.
that journey is, whether it's fertility, whether it's mental health, and it should just be okay and safe to say.
Yes. Well, I'm going to end on that positive
Okay.
note. So thank you so much for taking the
you.
time to talk with us today.
Yes.
And that's it. That's all we got.
Bye.